Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenya Revolutionary bringing you another session from a different section. It's a different setup. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the formalities out of the way before we get to the matter or mada, as they say it. If this is your first time joining this channel, this is Kenya Revolutionary channel. We talk about Kenyan politics and world politics as it relates to Kenya. Now, if it's your first time and you are interested in such topics, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, share, subscribe, comment, and do all the good stuff, okay? And put that notification on. Now, if you're already subscribed, you know the first order of business. Go ahead and like the video and share it with your friends. I just want to discuss a topic that I didn't get a chance to talk about yesterday. It's a very simple topic, and I will cover it very quickly. So I'm going to be brief. As you can see, it says 6 reasons why Boniface Mwangi's press conference on his torture was all an act. It was fake, fake, fake. Now, if you're easily offended, please take a moment and turn off your computer and go take a nap, because this is not for you. This is for some people who actually analyze stuff, the data or whatever we are presented it. We kind of look deeply into it and see if there's kind of any real meat into what they're saying. Is there any evidence of torture by the Tanzanian authorities, as Boniface Mwangi claims? Boniface and his counterpart, his partner in crime, Agather. Now, listen, guys, this will be brief. Like I said, I would like to talk about other stuffs because there's a lot going on in the world. We are on the brink of World War II. I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard, but just to, Ukraine attacked Russia, and there were like 42 nuclear planes that were shot down by a Ukrainian drone. Of course, Ukraine were being helped by NATO. So we are waiting for Russian response. And, Russia is saying that, you know what, they might aim at one of the main major Western cities. So we might be looking at World War III. But that's not the issue today. I will talk about that later and how it can affect Kenya. I want to draw back your attention to the issue at hand, because yesterday, the main news in Kenya was about Boniface press conference, when he was talking about what he experienced in Tanzania. Now, listen, folks, I want you to draw a clear picture to you so you can understand what's actually happening with regard to Boniface ordeal, torture ordeal, or supposedly, alleged claim of torture. Let me start by this, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades. I told you, and I will not tire to remind you of why Suluhu is being targeted. I've said this 100 times. Karibu sana nani? She Mariamo. Usininyime like the first order of business. You know what's up. Anyway, I've told you guys why Suluhu is being targeted. I told you that the West are trying to get rid of Suluhu because Suluhu last July 1st or June 1st, she decided that Tanzania will no longer use the US dollar as the currency to be used in Tanzania. She rejected the dollar. Not only that, Suluhu was showing signs of moving away from West by aligning herself with Ibrahim Traore and the lady that just became the president of, is it Lesotho, one of the countries, whatever. But the guys, she's becoming this non-alliance team, this new breed of African leaders who are moving away from the West, moving away from the colonial masters, who are seeking to be independent economically. And this did not sit well with Washington, D.C., the West, okay? So after she made that decision to ban the use of US dollar, now there was an aggressive campaign that started against Suluhu. Okay, I've explained to you that. All right, it's not only Suluhu. Any leader in Africa that actually, is moving away from the West, they kind of target them to remove them. I made a video called "Soft Coup," and I mentioned how Suluhu they are probably going to use a soft coup in removing Suluhu. A soft coup basically is when the West they engineer or orchestrate a popular revolution, a revolt against the ruling regime, administration, okay, the governing administration at the time, okay. So they probably, they'll foster and train and get people who are so-called human rights activists and other kind of activists and any other busybody, or sponsor an opposition and mobilize people to remove the president of the day, of the administration of the day, because they want her out, because she's not playing the game as the West would like her to play. So that's what I call the soft coup. Now, the hard coup is when they sponsor, let's say, a military head of the military to actually, orchestrate a coup d'etat against the sitting president or whatever the case is, democratically elected president. I gave you numerous examples that happened in the 50s and 60s in South America and in Iran, with Shah coming in after the takedown of Mossadegh, and Pinochet, who took out his Italandre. And, Pinochet was a general who was paid by Henry Kissinger and the CIA, who took out the democratically elected president of the day, okay? So those are examples of how they get rid of you. Now, to me, I know Shi Mariama anasema Suluhu aondoke Johanna Suluhu. I like Suluhu for one reason, okay? And I will confess this, I do not follow Tanzanian politics closely, so I don't know if she's popular or not. But one thing I will say is this: I support her decision to move away from the US dollar, because if you ping your currency on the US dollar, you are at the mercy of the Federal Reserve, okay? If the Federal Reserve, tamper with the interest rates, if they raise it or lower it, it affects your currency, okay? Because your money is pegged on the federal dollar, on the US dollar, okay? Which this monetary system is basically controlled by the Federal Reserve, okay? So I fully support Suluhu on that, okay? And the fact that she's aligning herself with countries that are looking to be to African countries that are looking to be economically independent of the West. Okay, they do not have to print their money in Germany like Kenya does. They do not have to print their money in France like other Western other African countries does. They do not have to take the IMF policies, which are you see them in our finance bill. I played you a video, or I told you about how the IMF and World Bank are basically telling Ruto, this administration, what kind of taxes they should bring up, and what kind of working class they should tax more. Okay, so this draconian finance bill that you see, it's basically drafted by the IMF and the World Bank. Okay, and like you heard Ruto once said, he works for the World Bank. Okay, he's their stooge. Now, the reason why I say, let me just get back to the topic. The reason why I say I support Suluhu is because she's trying to move Tanzania away from the Western tentacles. Okay, she wants to stand alone, not stand alone, but be independent. If you move you away from the US dollar, if you move away from the World Bank, if you move away from the IMF, you can actually be self-sufficient. Okay, strengthen your own currency, have your own reserve, have the Tanzanian Kenyan shillings be backed by gold. Okay, going back to the gold standard, I've told you about this. Okay, so to me, I fully support Suluhu on that front. Now, There are people who are making cases about human rights violations and all this and that and that. And the third, fair. I'm saying this. Do not expect Jeffersonian democracy in Tanzania. Like I usually say, democracy means different things to different people. Western democracy is not the same as Eastern democracy. Okay. Democracy in Saudi Arabia might look different from democracy in France. Okay. Democracy in US might look different from democracy in Iran. Okay. So these are the things that I'm saying. So I understand the people who are raising concerns over of human rights violations in Tanzania. Okay, the cases that they are concerns about the human rights violations that are happening there and all that stuff. But if you are to be fair, Suluhu is not the worst of the bunch. Okay, Suluhu is not the worst of the bunch. I mean, Museveni, who sits there in Uganda, her neighbor, our neighbor, has been violating, killing his opponents for I don't know how many years, 39 years of his rule. And why hasn't he been toppled, or why haven't they raised this concern to remove him? It is because he's aligned with the West. So they turn a blind eye. I mean, look at what's happening in Israel right now. They're bombing kids. They're bombing hospitals. They're bombing civilians. Okay. So let's not act as if Suluhu is the worst of the bunch. Okay. I'm not saying that if there's any kind of human rights violations in Tanzania that they're justified. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying on this issue that the West are getting nervous about, the fact that she's moving away from Western dependent on the Western front, the World Bank, IMF, and the dollar. That is the reason why they're trying to take her out from being president. And like I said, there's a coming election in October, so they will be ramping up this rhetoric, this propaganda against Suluhu. Okay, that's why you see the Boniface Mwangis of this world are being used to kind of attack her. That's what's happening. Okay, my thing has gone off. Let's try it again. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Okay. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so let's listen here. Karibu sana Gypsy. Can I see you? Go ahead and like the video. Okay, so now let me take a sip of my coffee. So now I told you why I've painted a picture as to why Suluhu is being targeted and why they want to take her out. It's because she's standing away from the West. Okay, just like, let me give you one last example before we get into the Boniface Mwangi. 6 reasons. Now, another quick reason. Remember when Ruto went to China and started saying that this is the new global alliance with China and whatever. And soon after after Ruto said that, the chairman in the U.S. Senate, a gentleman from Idaho, in the Foreign Relation Committee, say that we should reevaluate our relationship with Kenya, basically, okay, based on what Ruto said, and even the Trump administration mentioned that they might, Kenya might lose its status as the non-NATO ally, okay, and so forth. So they're not happy by Ruto, posing with the Chinese and saying that, okay, this is a new alliance, whatever. Ruto trying to align himself with China, that might put him at odds with the West. And I won't be surprised if Ruto, if he's removed in this year or next year, or whatever the case is, and replace him with somebody like Matiang'i, who has worked for World Bank, who knows, there's a puppet, it's a clown, it's a puppet like Ruto. So let's not, now, yes, Boniface Mwangi and co are crisis as ambulance chasers. Now, let's get to Boniface Mwangi. I told you guys, this guy worked for the NGO. What is it called? I forgot the name of it. Something Foundation. I told you in my past video, it's an NGO, but that is run by George Soros. If you know George Soros, that's one of the biggest terrorists in the world. Okay, that needs to be arrested. He has meddled in different countries, including the U.S. You know, paid candidates of all sorts, and you know, he was responsible for the Orange Revolution in Ukraine. Okay, actually, he's probably one of those people who started this, telling Zelensky to go on with the war that's happening against Russia. But let's get back to Boniface Mwangi, Boniface Mwangi and Agatha. Agatha is also aligned to the West. I did my Googles on her, and I know she won a prize for women something something in Oslo somewhere in Europe. EU recognized her as, this great journalist or whatever the case is. So she's well entrenched and well, aligned with the West. These are people who are used by the West to carry out an agenda in the East African region. But of course, they are dressed up as human rights activists, just like Boniface Mwangi, okay, who's a total tool of the West. Now, let's go to the nitty gritty of what I want to talk about. Six reasons why Boniface Mwangi's press conference on his torture was an act. Now, the first one, before I even starting the first one, I called it out. I don't know if you guys know this, but the first red flag for me was when they went to Pangani police station. Okay, Boniface Mwangi, Hanifa, and all these busybodies who went to protest for the release of Rose Njeri. In fact, at this time, I'm even questioning this whole Rose Njeri thing. But that's another story. Okay, so Boniface Mwangi and Hanifa goes and pose for a picture. Of course, they have to always take a picture and see, show the people that they're fighting for the rights of people. So he wears cam boots, CAM. Okay. For those of you who have been in the healthcare, healthcare profession, cam boots. Let me just should I Google it for you so you guys can actually just get the cam boots are usually when you sprain your ankle. It's supposed to be. Let me just show you the picture. Let me just show you this. This is what I want to start with, because I want you to get a clear picture of what I'm talking about. In the first red flag for me, like I said, was him wearing the cam boots. CAM, control ankle movement boots. Okay, these boots are usually designed to control movement in your ankle. If you've sprayed your ankle or you've broken your toe or whatever the case is, they usually give you that, but you only wear one. I've worked in physical therapy, I've worked with the orthopedics. Listen, there's no way a doctor, an orthopedic, can give you they're called cam boots or orthopedic boots, two orthopedic boots to wear and walk around with. It's impossible. Okay, it's impossible. That is the first. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me just show you what I'm talking about, because maybe I'm talking about these boots and you're wondering, okay, can the revolution, what are you talking about? Let me show you exactly what I mean. Okay, what I'm talking about. Here it is. Like the video and share, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue. Lakini. Let me show you what I mean by these cam boots. All right. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen, ladies and gentlemen, brothers? All right. I hope you can see the screen. My Nino is. Let me show you. Let me show you the screen. All right. Now here it is. I highlighted this for a reason. It's taking me a while, but give me a few minutes. Can you guys see it? All right, the picture is loading. Basically, if you can see those boots that Tanzanian and Agather, this charlatan called Boniface Mwangi. Let me show you. Let me show you. If only my thingy can load up quick. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculously slow. But what I'm trying to say, the point I'm trying to make here is this. It's a simple point. Okay? It's a very simple point. There you go. There you go. There you go. It's loading. It's loading. All right. If only it can load up so we can see. Now, these boots that Boniface was wearing in both feet, which is very unusual, and if there's a doctor who recommended this for him to wear that doctor is a fake doctor. You cannot wear both of this. This is what the number one. I'm getting to the speech. I'll get to the speech. Like the video, ladies and gentlemen. So as you can see, I niliweka hiyo ninio. I put those red in here. I know most people, for those people who haven't worked in healthcare, they've never worked in physical therapy, or are not familiar with these kind of boots, they won't think much of it, and they will think this is just normal. Ni kawaida. No, it's not. If you've been to healthcare, if you're a nurse or you're a doctor or you've worked in an orthopedic doctor's office, you will know that this is actually an impossibility. Impossible. You cannot have this. Okay? Now, here it is. Here he is. He's wearing both. He's wearing these boots on both feet. Okay? Number one, even before that, unakumbuka vile Boniface Mwangi was found in Ukunda? You remember when he was found in Ukunda? The manner in which he was limping in a way that suggested that his right foot was the affected side of the foot. Okay? He couldn't step, like he couldn't make a normal step with his right foot. Okay? I'll show you the video of that. But I just want you to see those. I know, because a lot of people, especially in Kenya, you do not know, or maybe if you're not in the medical field, whichever way you are, wherever you are, you do not know how these cam boots work or whatever the case is. Okay? For those of you who still don't know what cam boots is, this is what Boniface is wearing. A cam boot is also known as a walking boot. Okay? Is an orthopedic device used to support and protect the foot and ankle after injuries or surgeries. It allows patients to walk while promoting healing by providing immobilization and reducing weight bearing on the injured area. So, if both of your feet are injured, there's no way a doctor can recommend for you to wear this boot on both legs. You will be on a wheelchair if that's the case. Because when you're standing up or you're walking, you're putting pressure on your injured legs. So it's impossible for you to walk or stand up like this guy is doing. Now, peep this. This is not the beginning of this clown's first mistake that raised a red flag. That's this. These people are not smart when they're lying, when they are making up their stories. They don't think their lies through. That's why they always find themselves in a pickle. Okay, and we'll expose that. We'll expose that very quickly. Now, here, if you ask Google, AI, ChatGPT, or DeepSeek, whatever the case is, it will tell you the same thing I'm telling you right now. For anyone who has worked in healthcare will know, or have done physical therapy, or is an orthopedic, they'll tell you that. So is it possible for somebody to have this walking boots? It tells you no. Why? If you can see the screen again, I'll tell you why. Can you see the screen? I'll read it with you. It's generally not possible or recommended to walk with two medical boots on simultaneously. Medical professions suggest that wearing two boots will be extremely difficult and likely cause you to fall. A medical walking boot, also known as a cam boot, control ankle motion, is designed to support and immobilize one foot, and wearing two will disrupt balance and mobility. Mnaona hiyo? They were just Mark, I see you. Unaona? So it's impossible for somebody to wear two of those cam boots, because otherwise you will not be able to walk. Yeah, you'll not be able to walk. It's an impossibility. Yeah. Now, let's look at the nature of injury. That is step one. Sintumeskizana hapo mental note. We can agree that it is impossible to wear two of these cam boots. It's impossible. That's number one. Now, I want us to look at the first video that Boniface made, his appearance after his so-called his so-called abduction and torture. Okay, when he appeared in Okunda, we want to see the nature of his injuries. We didn't see anything visible, but just let's judge it or analyze it based on how he was limping and determine which part of his feet, what foot was the affected side. Was it both or was it just one? So let's take a look at another video here. Wacha niwatoe hapo kidogo. Let me show you this video here real quick of Boniface Mwangi, fresh out of Tanzania, found in Ukunda somewhere, limping. And let's look closely at which leg seems to be the affected side. Ama namna gani? Aya, wekeni like hapo. Karibu sana Max Smack. Max Smack. Like that name. All right, guys. Let's see that in you. I want to expose this. I haven't even go to the reason. I'm just giving you the background of how the first red flag was him wearing those cam boots. For those of you who don't know what cam boots are, they're called control ankle motion boots or medical boots. For those, if you have a sprained ankle or you broke your toe, they usually have you wear one, so they can keep it, it doesn't put pressure on that sprained ankle, okay, or that affected leg, okay? There's no way the doctor can recommend two. If you are injured on both feet, they will put you on a wheelchair until you heal. But I know, like I said, majority of Kenyans, majority of people, the average schmo might not know this because you're not in the medical field, okay? I understand that. So for him to wear those two, that's the first red flag. But let's look at this video, because hapa ndio alikuwa anajiuza hapa. Like I told you, these guys are not smart. They're just stupid. They're plain stupid. But they are hoping that they can fool the masses very quickly. Aya, twende. Wacha nionyeshe ya pili. The second one is an interesting one. Let's see. This is when Boniface was fresh out of Tanzania. And let's look at how the manner in which he's limping. And I want you to tell me which side or which leg of his, as he's limping or is being supported by two gentlemen, tell me what side is his both feet affected, or is it just one foot that is affected? Twende kazi. Give me a minute as this thing loads up.
All right, Leto, thanks so much for that. Let's switch gears here. And Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi's wife, Njeri Mwangi, has pleaded with the Kenyan...
Sorry, guys. My computer takes 10 hours to just load up. As this one is going on, please do not hesitate to like the video, subscribe, share, like, comment, and share it. And tag Boniface Mwangi. For those of you who are watching on X, tag him. I want him to watch it. And I'll put a link for him to enter into this discussion.
Tanzanian.
Let's go. All right, guys. If he wants to come here and I'll tell you why. I'll tell we'll get to the reasons after this. If only I could play this crap.
Governments to release her husband and bring him back home, saying both governments are not giving any information about his whereabouts. As Emmanuel Tona reports, Tanzanian authorities say they have released the activist. In the meantime, Tanzanian authorities have shut down the X platform in the country hours after the Tanzanian police X account was hacked. Take a listen.
Hold on, guys. This is not it. Hold on.
She made a desperate.
That's not it. It was the previous video. Sorry, guys. Give me a few minutes. Inakuja. Crap, I hate this thing. It's like taking so long. Crap. It's giving me a survey. I don't want to hear about survey. But anyway, I want to play this video that if only this thing would. All right, skip that. All right, let's watch this. Here it is. Look at how he's walking. Look keenly. Mwangalia vizuri. Keenly as the video loads up. And tell me which side of which foot is the affected side. Is it both or is it just one? Take a look. Just give it a second. It's coming. Ladies and gentlemen, while this video is loading up, please take a second to like this video, share, subscribe, and do all the good stuff. By the way, if you're watching on an X or you're watching, tag Boniface Mwangi. I'll put this new up. He can get in here and tell his story. I will ask him. See this leg? You see that leg? Unaona? Then they cut the camera when he's about to get into the car. Kwa sababu, look. And now he's in a wheelchair. Let me bring it back, guys. Because I think you have to watch this. Hold on. Hold on. Look. So you see his right leg is what is affected. Because the left one is the one that is in a support. Sindio? So here, the eye test is telling us that his right leg is the affected side. Let's watch it one last time. Look at his leg. The right one. So namnaiona. Look, his right leg is the affected one. The other one can support the other. Sindio? That is before he started wearing those boots. And huyo ameingia kwa gari. Then the next. All right, so this guy is a clown. This guy. All right. Anyway. All right. So the funny part is this. This is the funny part. So here is the sequence of events. So after all that picture, whatever the case is, there was a snippet where Giuliani, the musician, Martha Karua, and some other friends of Boniface Mwangi went to visit him in the hospital. And when they got to the hospital, Boniface Mwangi was laying down in the hospital, covered in a blanket up to his waist. So then they started, making this short video. And all of a sudden, Boniface Mwangi, who claimed to be injured in his legs or in his ankles and his knee, moved the blanket away from him and stretched his legs effortlessly. Okay? For somebody who has been tortured, this is literally a day after him showcasing that the right side of his leg is the affected side that seemed to be injured. In the hospital, in that snippet with Martha Karua and Giuliani, he was stretching his legs freely with no signs of discomfort or pain. Okay? Then, a few days after that, here he is, he's wearing these medical boots. But the guy forgot that his affected side, so-called affected side, was supposed to be his right side of leg. His right leg was the affected side, the painful side, the side that actually bears more injuries, because he was limping, but his left side seemed to be okay. And when those two gentlemen were helping him to the car, it seems like he could move his left side, his left leg, but his right side was the affected side. So then, a few days after that, when they were going to that Pangani police station, here he is, he's wearing those ortho boots, medical boots, on both of his legs. Something that has never happened in the history of this medical boots. And I've showed you, Google it. There's no way you can wear those. Those boots are designed to support one foot, the affected foot. If you've injured both of your feet, the doctor will never recommend or give an order for you to wear those boots on both feet. He will recommend that you be on a wheelchair until you heal up. I'm sorry. For those of you who haven't worked in a medical field, this is 101. But anyway, so let's get to the reasons. Number one, why this whole Boniface thing was fake. I've told you why they faked this injury and all this rape and all this sodomy and all this nonsense. Okay, I've told you why. The number one reason is this was designed to demonize Suluhu. Because if you listen to their testimony or whatever the case, their story, the emphasis was Suluhu. Oh, I was naked and were being beaten up, and they kept on telling me that that I should apologize to Suluhu. Sema Suluhu ndio sijui nini, pole Suluhu, pole Suluhu. It was all about Suluhu. You see what they are doing? The emphasis was on Suluhu. Everything they did, even that Agatha girl, when she was speaking, she said, I'm from Uganda and Museveni is a dictator, but compare Suluhu to Museveni is like Angel Gabriel. Huh? You see? The focus in Suluhu is Suluhu. They want to demonize Suluhu. It is all about Suluhu. Now, reason number one. Let me start. Reason number one why I tell you this is fake. Why did they call a press conference 10, 11 days later to have this whole discussion? It was a press conference eulogizing about their ordeal, about torture. Why didn't they sit down with a reputable journalist who can actually ask them questions so that we can see if their story match? Prod. At what point were you arrested? What did they do to you? Did you see their faces? Around what time did this happen? Huh? Questions like that. How many gentlemen were carrying out this torture? Where's your medical report? Is there a medical report? What doctor signed on proof that this happened to you? Because there are people who are questioning what happened to you. We want to know the name of that doctor who signed that in you, who recommended that you wear these medical boots. Especially the one that told you that you should wear both on both feet and stand up and walk around with those boots. The boots are designed to ease up pressure from your ankle and your affected leg. So why are you wearing both and walking around with it? It defeats the purpose. That's the number one thing. They chose a press conference to tell their story and not go in a news media, because they're avoiding to be asked the tough questions. Kwa sababu ukiwauliza maswali, you'll start seeing holes in their stories. When you ask them questions, that's when you start. If you start poking holes in their story, you'll see how they'll quickly start stammering and their story will fall through. So, in order to avoid any kind of ninio, they went and had a press conference. Walienda mahali wakaita the press, and they started this acting job that we saw. Now, that's the number one reason. They called an ninio because they did not want questions to be asked. Now, number two. That's number one. The biggest one. I want us to watch. The Boniface was giving his ninio his account of what happened. I want us to watch Agather. Is it her name? That's her name, Agatha, the Ugandan lady. Watch her reaction. I want us to watch her reaction. Forget about Boniface. Look at Agatha's reaction. Do not worry about Boniface right now. We'll go to Boniface. He's next. But let's watch at Agatha's reaction. Let's go. Let me go take you. I want us to watch Askili. I want you to study these people, how they're acting. If you want to know the new, study how her body language and how he's reacting to Boniface Mwangi. Let's go. I want to show you something. We have to be critical of these people. As funny or as trivial as this might be, it's not. It gets to me because a head of state might be demonized and removed from power unconstitutionally or through a popular revolution because of the actions of a few who are lying on them. Just like Gaddafi was removed because of propaganda. We had great leaders who have been removed because of propaganda. I'm not saying Suluhu is great, but like I said, one thing I agree about Suluhu on is the fact that she's trying to have Tanzania become economically independent by not looking at World Bank and IMF to determine their monetary policies and the economic policies. That's why I agree with Suluhu on that front. The human rights violations is another discussion. We can talk about that later. But what I'm trying to say is that the basic, because what really bedevils majority of African nations, why they are still living in squalid living conditions, is because of the policies that the IMF and World Bank force them to implement that keeps them poor. They can't rise. They can't protect themselves. They can't be full secure. They can't have their own currency that is backed by gold. They can't have control of their minerals. They can't have control of their own banks. They're heavy in huge debts. They're told what to grow. Sanction is put upon them if they misbehave. This is what Suluhu is trying to get off. We can talk about the human rights violation later, but I'm talking about the basic, fundamental rudiments, scourge that is keeping African nations down is what Suluhu is trying to get out of. Say what you will about her education level. You do not have to have a PhD to know these things. The former president of Chile did not even finish high school, but revolutionized that country. You do not have to have a PhD to know these things. Just have an interest, put the people's interest first, not the Western powers, IMF and World Bank. And this globalist agenda on this, keeping the global South impoverished, enslaved economically. Now, let's look at Agatha's reaction. I told you the number two reason. Let's look at Nino. Remember Nancy Sinatra? These boots are meant for walking. Let's get to it. I'll come to the comments. Like the video, guys. If you're watching it on your X, please come to YouTube and like the video. Okay. Now let's go to the video of this Nino, of this Boniface Mwangi guy. Okay. Here it is. I want you to watch Agatha. Agatha is the lady that's sitting there that was also Nino. This said was tortured with Boniface Mwangi. Tuangalie. Let me take you to that video very quickly. So please hit the like button while this video loads. Today. And you bas. Look at Agatha, because we're critically analyzing these folks. Sky 2 up. Hey, I feel sorry for Boniface Mwangi. I feel better. These guys are laughing at you. Well, you think they are nini? Okay, you. Let's look. Agatha is this lady right here. Look at her reaction while Boniface is telling the story. Forget about Bonnie in a minute. We'll get to Bonnie.
My legs are up like this. My body's up. I'm stuck naked.
Look at her.
And then they started beating my feet. So they beat me, massage my feet. Beat me and massage my feet. I was screaming so hard. I couldn't even. There was no tears coming out because of how painful it was. One of them said, put his hand in his mouth. So they put my hand in my mouth. They would tell me, stop screaming. The kids are sleeping. And then to drown my screams, they opened the car. I could hear them. They were playing gospel music in the background. They beat me.
Look at her.
Beat me. Then they removed the underwear from my mouth and they started questioning me, asking my name, where are you from, why are you here, who sent you, why you come to destabilize our country. And then they said, wake moto.
Look at her. She wants to laugh.
Some guy put lubricant in my rectum, in my anus, and they started inserting objects. They insert objects.
Boniface is actually laughing. Who cries like that? No, seriously. Who cries like that? This guy is actually laughing. Look at Agatha's reaction. Forget about Boniface. The laughter is funny. He's not crying. He's laughing. But look at Agatha's reaction. She also wants to laugh so bad, but she's holding back. To Agatha. Look at this. Look at this woman. Look, she's laughing.
Dude. Dude, put objects in my anus and then say you're feeling nice, say you're feeling good. Then you say Asante Samia, Asante Samia. So I say Asante to their president.
See, they're trying to connect everything with Suluhu. So they have to insert Suluhu's name at the, or Sema Asante Samia, because they want to bring Suluhu. They want to shift that blame on Suluhu, no matter what. They have to connect their story to Suluhu. Okay. So anyway, but look at this Agatha's, the way her reaction. She was trying so hard not to laugh. And Boniface's cry is actually a laugh. Listen to it, because nobody cries like that. I'm telling you. But look at. Keep on looking at Agatha's reaction. Yani she was trying so hard not to laugh.
Then they'll push hard and then it out like
look.
Yes, I bleeding.
Look at her.
And they dropped me. Then I'm still blindfolded. They took me to a wall. They told me to face the wall and then squat. Then a man came and was putting his fingers in my anus and then saying that, say you're feeling nice, say you're feeling good, say Asante Samia.
Look.
Then they would do that.
Charlie, this guy is laughing. He's not crying. Charlie anacheka. He's not crying. And look, Charlie, people fall for this crap. Like, I'm even starting to laugh because it's funny. This is, Yani, this is what we are buying? Look at, Mina Ambia, forget about Bonnie's laugh. Look at this chick, Nani, huyu Agatha. Agatha is anajaribu sana asicheke. Look at her.
And then they tell me, turn around, I'm naked. So all this time they're telling me they're recording everything they're doing to us, or rather they're doing to me.
Watch Kinley.
I'm naked. And
okay, how many times is he going to remind us that he's naked?
So when I'm answering these questions, when I turn around,
look at her.
When I'm answering these questions, they are just threatening me. So like when they're abusing me, they're saying I should feel good and say thank you, President.
Okay, again, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I want you to watch carefully as a napkin is passed to Boniface's wife, and look at where she placed the napkin. And this, it's not just a napkin. This seems like there's a message that is written in that napkin, because she'll place it in front of Bonnie, and Bonnie will quickly look down into that napkin before he wipes his nose. Look carefully. I'll show you guys. Meanwhile, look at Agatha's Nino. She's just trying to not laugh.
So they told me we have recorded these videos so that if you go back to the country and you say what we did to you, we shall put them online and shame you. And your kids will see this, your family will see this.
Look, Mona, your napkin. Hold on. Hold on.
So,
did you see it? Hold on. Look at the way, hold on. If somebody needs a napkin, you just go give it to him like this. You hand it over to if your husband is crying for whatever reason, or anybody is crying, and you want to hand over a napkin to them, you don't place it in front of them like that. You just hand him to over, unampatia hand to hand handover to them. Ajipanguze mapua, or whatever the case is. Look at how she places it in front of Bonnie, and Bonnie looks down at the napkin, alafu and I pick up. It's like there was a message written in that napkin. Angalieni tena. Look at this properly. Look.
You say what we did to you, we shall put them on.
Meanwhile, Agatha pia anataka kucheck up. Unaona amepass your napkin. Look.
Everyone will see this.
Did you see where she placed it? Did you see how she placed it? Like she placed it in front of him. Alafu angalia hapo. In fact, where it is paused, Bonnie anaiangalia. Just look at it. One more time. Notice how kuna mtu ameleta hiyo napkin akapatia bibia Boniface. Alafu bibia Boniface, instead of handing over the ninio napkin as the normal people would do, hand over it, ameiweka mbele ya Boniface hapo. It's like a cue note. You know the cue cards? Remember when Mugabe was giving a speech and was telling us about how when he met Reagan had like Ronald Reagan used to have like cue cards to remind him of what to say. This is what it is. So look at it one more time. One more time. I won't bore you with this because you can do your research on at your own time. All right, look at it. Unaona? All right, hold on. One more time. One more time. Keep on.
Videos so that
okay, look when the napkin is being passed.
You say what we did to you, we shall put them online and shame you.
There. See?
Will see this,
then look. Pop, unaona?
Everyone will see this.
See, then he looks at it. Alafu anajipanguza na nio. Unaona?
While I was naked, the question me asked me my email address, my passwords, everything. And because I was in so much pain and I was afraid they're going to hurt me some more, I gave them everything they wanted. And they told me to dress up. And that's when they took over to go and torture Agatha. They put back the blindfold, told me to dress up, put back the blindfold, and then.
Okay, so a few things here. Maybe you didn't catch it. A few things here. Let me just highlight them so you can go watch this clip. It's on my X Space page, or you can just go watch the whole video if you want to watch the whole video on YouTube. But this is what I want to mention. The first thing you should watch is Agatha's reaction to Boniface. Okay, how Boniface was vile Boniface alikuwa na ninio Agatha's ninio. The first point is this. Look at Agatha's reaction to Boniface while Boniface is giving this story. Alafu when Boniface is purportedly crying, first of all, listen to his cry. It's not nobody cries like that. That was a laugh. The guy was lying and he knew he was lying and he knew he was acting. He couldn't help himself. He even started laughing. Okay? Number two. So I said Agatha's reaction, Boniface laugh. Okay? The napkin that is passed, the person who went and passed, the person tapped Boniface's wife on the shoulder, then gave that napkin to Boniface's wife. And the manner in which this napkin was passed from the wife to Boniface was not a normal way you would pass a napkin to somebody to wipe their nose. In a normal whatever setting, you would just come in and, offer somebody a box of Kleenex or whatever the case is. Just here, have it, clean your mouth, your nose, wipe your nose, But she placed it in front of Boniface, and look at how Boniface looks down. It was like a cue card, a cue to show you what to do next. Maybe they were telling him wrap it up, because the longer you are talking, the longer you're exposing yourself, especially with those laughters. Okay. Then, like I said, the fact that it was a press conference where nobody was questioning them. They were basically sitting there and telling us about this whole ordeal without anybody asking questions. Nobody stood up and said, hey, listen, why is it that you don't have any marks in your feet or in your arms or in your face? Do you have a doctor's note? Which doctor was it did you see? That can report that you had these things on your ninio. Okay? So these are the little details that people miss. I kept on telling you, it starts with the first video that I showed you when Boniface was supposedly found at Ukunda, and he was limping with one affected foot. One affected foot, not both feet, but one affected foot. But then, a few days later, he shows up at Pangani police station wearing the medical boots on both feet. Why? Again, for anyone who knows anything about medical boots, there's no doctor on this planet Earth that will recommend or order you to wear medical boots on both feet. If your ankle or your toe or your leg is broken and you need to alleviate any weight from the ankle or the toe on both feet, they will give you a wheelchair and have you sit on a wheelchair until you heal up. They will not give you an orthopedic boot on both feet and tell you to walk around and stand up and place more pressure on that sprained ankle or broken ankle or messed up toe. No doctor on planet Earth will recommend that. Then again, listen to actually what he's saying. The emphasis was he was naked and they were placing foreign objects on his rectum. And here's the caveat, or rather the ninio. When all this was supposedly happening, they made it very clear that Suluhu had to be connected to this horrible act and made sure that, okay, the story had to insert, place Suluhu's name in this horrible act to try to put a link Suluhu with this so-called torture process. Oh, they were telling me to say Pole Suluhu or Sumia Pole, Pole Sumia, Pole Sumia. Because the aim of this press conference was to demonize Suluhu as this brutal dictator. That is the main aim. I want you to take your time and go watch this video at your own time and do your own thorough analysis on this. I told you, this guy was not even, he was laughing in front of you. Agatha was, in fact, Agatha, she was even, kuna mahali alikuwa anataka kucheka and even nervous at the same time because she was afraid the whole thing will be exposed. One last time for shits and giggles so that you can see what was happening. I will play it one more time with no interruptions so you can see what I'm saying. Go.
My body's up, I'm stuck naked.
Look at Agatha.
And then they started beating my feet. So they beat me, massage my feet, beat me and massage my feet. I was screaming so hard, I couldn't even, there was no tears coming out because of how painful it was. One of them said, put his hand in his mouth. So they put my hand in my mouth. They tell me, stop screaming, the kids are sleeping. And then to drown my screams, they were playing, they opened the car.
Look at her.
Yeah, then they were playing gospel music in the background. They beat me. Then they removed the underwear from my mouth and they started questioning me, asking my name, where are you from, why are you here?
I want you to listen to his laugh and Agatha's reaction.
And then they said, welcome water. Some guy put lubricant in my rectum, in my anus, and they started inserting objects. They insert objects.
Look at Agatha. Look. All right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I'm sorry about that. Um, I'll just have to end it here because it's been an hour, and uh, the attackers who usually attack me are doing their job. So, anyway, it's been an hour, but I would urge you to go watch this video, that video of Boniface and Agatha, Muyangalie Tena, and you tell me what you think. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Max Mark, Gypsy Corner, Shima Riam, and everybody else that we have been watching on X and also on YouTube. If you're going to watch this on repeat, please make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment, and put your notification on so next time I come in, you can always find me here. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. Peace and blessings.